What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is going to be the official Season 11 Apex Legends tier list. Now, this is going to be for your more average player, just to put in kind of perspective. More like me, I'm kind of just your average or above average player. I'm not no pro player. I'm not like a Grandmaster Apex Legend or Apex Predator or Masters tier player. To put it into like rank terms, mid-silver all the way up to your lower platinum, mid-platinum type rank tiers. That's kind of what this list is going to be for. So, without further ado, leave a like, leave a comment down below, 100% opinionated tier list, and subscribe if you are new. If this video does well, I will 100% be bringing more Apex Legends videos your guys' way. If you guys missed my weapons tier list, I threw out about a week ago, depending on when you're seeing this video. Go check that out after this video is done. I'll have a link at the end of this video. Go check it out. The video did really well, so I'm bringing you guys to another tier list. Top right into this. Keep in mind as well, 100% opinionated, and this is going to be mainly just taking into consideration the current maps we have, which are World's Edge, which we're not going to be getting for quite a while yet, another 3-4 weeks, and then the current map that we have for ranked, and that's usually in the queue the most of the time, which is Storm Point, the new map for Season 11. So keep that in consideration with these legends as well. I will be talking about the map and how they do on this map mainly, and kind of putting them into consideration. Without further ado, let's hop right into this. As for our tiers, we will be using the same tiers as we did for the weapons tier list. S+, S, A+, B, C, and then you got your F tier, which is garbage. Spoiler, there is not a single legend in the game that is absolute garbage. There is no F tier legend in the game right now, which is a good thing. Just goes to show you that the legends released balanced to the point where they aren't absolute hot garbage. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off with Bloodhound. Bloodhound's going right to S tier. Still a force to be reckoned with Season 11. He's been good for I don't know how many seasons now. They slightly nerfed his ult in the past, the duration, and they just, I don't know, he's still insanely good. Especially on Storm's Point, where you can actually just pretty much walk down people. You can find where people land. You can follow a trail. The scan at the click of a button is probably one of the most easy to use and like almost brain dead abilities in the game. Gives you so much information and intel at the click of a button. I don't think it should be that way at all. Pretty much no skill to really play either. If you want a really easy legend to play that's really good and you're going to win the most of your games with, at least with a little bit of knowledge about the game, pick Bloodhound. You can never go wrong with Bloodhound. That's why he's S tier right now. Probably one of the best intel legends in the game, especially with his ults. Like you get the constant scans, the scan reduced cooldown. You can see targets outlines in your ult. You get the increased movement speed. He's just overall really good right now, especially if you're looking to take fights. You can constantly track people down. You can see where they go. You pair that with like an Ashe or even like another intel legend or somebody with like hyper mobility. Pair it with a Valkyrie, stuff like that. That can get you around the map. You can take fights. You can put them onto more of a hyper aggression team and just play that way. Really solid right now. I really like Bloodhound. Not really much of him has changed, and he's still one of the best legends in the game. Definitely worthy of an S tier. Up next, we got Gibraltar. The guy needs to be nerfed into the ground because I am actually sick of going against him. I'm sick of Gibraltar. I really am. S+ tier. Storm Point is really open, especially your lower or your final circles. They're really open, and there's not much cover depending on where the circle actually forms around. If you're like me, I have really bad luck. It'll form right out in the open, and there's no cover at all apart from a few rocks or trying to crouch down behind a wall or something. If you step out of position once, especially late game, you're pretty much dead. So, only legend in the game that can set his own cover up. You can revive people. You can throw down a cover with his dome shield pretty much the entire time. Set that down anytime you want, and you have your own built-in cover where you can heal up to full, revive somebody on your team, make your own cover, buy yourself time. Just insanely good, especially with his ult. Huge AoE ult, still really solid. You got the gun shield that absorbs 50 damage. Pretty much a fail save, especially for the players. If you're not really that good at aiming and you aren't really the best with your gun skill, definitely kind of a fail save, especially with that extra 50 health. It takes 50 more health to kill you. with that gun shield in somebody's face. So just overall, just S plus tier. He needs some type of nerfs going into this next season or for mid-season 11. I don't know what they would do. I actually think they need to reduce the duration on his dome shield. I think right now, I think it's 6 seconds or something. Reduce it down to like 2 seconds. I feel like it's just crazy, way too good, and that's the one thing about him, why everybody picks him. If you take away the dome shield from Gibby, he's pretty much worthless. So either you nerf that or you nerf something else about him, and it'll do nothing again. So I just think he needs some huge nerfs. I'm sick of Gibraltar in every one of my games. Up next, we got Lifeline. Lifeline's going to B tier. She's really fallen off. I don't think she's good at all. If this was an Arenas tier list, I think she's probably the best legend in the game for Arenas and putting that into an Arenas environment. But for Battle Royale, she's just outclassed by everything else. There's no reason to use her, especially on Storm Point. I think the main drawback with her, like her entire kit ain't too bad, but she has pretty much a useless ult. It takes 3 minutes to drop down a care package. People are going to be scouting your care package. When you drop it down, it takes forever to land. People can jump you. I don't know how many times I've gotten jumped when I'm trying to send down a care package for my team. When we're sitting there looting our care package and we end up getting third-partied or jumped by a team that just follows the care package from the sky and goes where it's landing. I just think her ult needs a buff. I think that's what the huge problem with her is right now. Her ult is pretty much useless, and it takes way too long to actually get an ult without ult accelerant, and it's just not worth playing her right now. She's just more of a hindrance on a team over a lot of the other picks than she actually is being good, apart from playing her in arenas, and this is not an arenas tier list. This is for Battle Royale, so keep that in mind. The health throne is fine. Being able to revive 2 people at once is fine, as long as you can protect them while they're being revived, especially with the gold backpack, if you happen to find that. Still really good. But apart from that, I think the one thing they need to look at is with her ult, because I feel like she's absolutely useless. And I feel like I'm more of a hindrance right now, just picking Lifeline over picking pretty much a lot of the other legends in the game. Even though I don't have the instant revive and I don't have the health throne, it just doesn't matter right now. She's just outclassed by a lot of other stuff. Up next, we got Pathfinder, going right to S tier. Pathfinder is still one of the best mobility legends in the game. People are saying his passive needs to be reworked. I think if they actually change his passive, he'll become even more broken. On Storm Point, you can put up a zipline anywhere. Being able to throw up a zipline on this map with it being so open and it taking forever to rotate around on this map is huge, especially with your grapple. You can use that to get around the map. Insanely good mobility. I don't know. I think he's just S tier worthy. Kind of just the same as last patch, like for Season 10, he was still insanely good. Nothing's with him's really changed. I think he's still, if you can know how to play Pathfinder, you're going to do really good in your games. Really solid legend right now, and you overall just do not want to pass him up, especially if you're really good at him. Up next, we got Wraith. Man, this is the definition of somebody that just got outclassed with the addition of one legend into the game. Wraith is going to B tier. I don't think she's good at all. You can still play her if you're like a Wraith main, and if you all you do is just play Wraith nonstop, and that's your favorite legend in the game. By all means, play her. But there's just no reason to play Wraith right now over Ashe. She's outclassed by Ashe. That's the problem right now. Not to mention, I feel like she's just kind of outdated. The entire game just keeps changing around her, and she just never changes. She has her tactical is good. Like, don't get me wrong, her tactical is good. You get out of dodge, you get damage immunity for 5 seconds or whatever. But the windup is so slow. I think if they really want to buff her, take away the windup on her tactical. There's like a 2-second window where you can actually still get killed before going into your tactical. Get rid of that. Make it instant cast. Make her tactical instant cast. I think that's one thing they need to do with her. I think if they just focus on her tactical, that can separate her away from Ashe. Because right now, if you want to, pretty much Ashe is pretty much the same thing, but with vertical mobility with her portals. Yeah, you can't go back with an Ashe portal. You can only go through it once, one way, unlike a Wraith portal. But at the same time, you have vertical mobility, which is insanely good on Storm Point. You put out an Ashe portal or a Wraith portal, you have to run all the way up to a high ground, set down another portal, and then finally fight. Then with Ashe, you just have to click one button and you're already in the fight. So it just doesn't make sense. I feel like she's outclassed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, but I'm putting her in B tier. Needs some major buffs to her tactical or her ultimate. I think she needs some either quality of life changes or a pretty huge buff, because I feel like she's just really underwhelming right now. Bangalore, I'm going to put Bangalore at a B tier, just kind of your typical legend right now. You really don't want to be playing her on Stormpoint. I don't think her ult's that good. The map is so open. If this was like Kings Canyon or Olympus, I think she gets a lot more value because the map is a lot more closed off, especially in your more later game circles. But right now, everybody can just walk out of your ult because the map is so open. She gets pretty much no value out of her ult, and then her smokes are pretty much countered. If you're going against a Bloodhound, if you're going against an Ashe that already has you marked, Seer, there's so much shit in the game right now that just counters your smoke. It just doesn't make sense, especially since a lot of people right now are also running the thermal vision scopes on their close range guns. So even if they have that, especially late game, it's pretty much useless again anyways. So just B tier, just kind of your average legend. I think she needs some major quality of life changes or some buffs. I feel like she's just really underwhelming right now, especially on Stormpoint. There's just not really many reasons to pick her apart from that. If this was arenas, I think she's way better in arenas. If it was an arenas tier list, but it's not, unfortunately. Caustic going A plus tier, probably the first, arguably the second. It's between her and Watson right now that are two of the best defensive legends in the game. Really, really annoying to play against. Not really as much on Stormpoint, like I said, because the map is really open. It just comes down to luck and where like the final circles form. If you can play around buildings and take fights to your advantage and play around your gas traps and your ult is still really good with the gas cloud, you can win a lot of fights. It just depends where you land and where you just decide to fight at. You got to kind of take fights into consideration with your kit and kind of play around what you can do and what your playstyle is. But if you can do that, and depending on the late game circles, if they're in towards a building or if they're more of a closed off area, he thrives in that type of environment. So he's still insanely good. Probably the best defensive legend in the game right now, besides Watson. If you want a defensive legend that just sits in camps most of the game and kind of plays indoors and in closed environments or plays like close range, pick up Caustic. Still insanely good. Really annoying to go against, especially in pro play. Everybody's picking up in pro play. If you guys haven't watched the ALGS or whatever it is, almost on every team right now. Probably going to end up getting nerfed, probably mid-season 11. Probably could have already got nerfed as well, depending when you're seeing this video. Mirage, our first C tier legend, going right down to C tier. Mirage is useless. I feel like if I play Mirage, like I'm just doing nothing. There's just no reason to pick him over a lot of the other legends in the game right now. Yeah, if you're good with them, you can get some really clutch kills and fool some people with your ult and with your decoy and shit. But apart from that, like he just doesn't do anything. Yeah, you have the passive revive and stealth, whatever. Like it just doesn't make him good enough. That's the problem with Mirage right now. He's just outclassed. There's just no reason to play him. Needs some major buffs or some like major reworks. I don't know what they would even do with Mirage to make him better. I really don't. But if you're good with Mirage, you could still get away with him. But I just think he's outclassed by pretty much everything right now. There's no reason to play him. Up next, we got Octane going to S tier. Still really good. A lot of people might actually disagree with this, but I still think, especially on this open map, where you rely on mobility to get around this map and being able just to run really fast around this map, especially with the jump pad that charges really quick, and being able just to zoom around the map whenever you want, I still think is really good. If this was not Stormpoint, or if it was like a different map, maybe I could put him a little bit lower, but at least in my opinion, I think he's still an S tier worthy. Not really much with him has changed. If you want a really more hyper mobility focused type playstyle, pick up Octane. Still really fun to play. I enjoy playing him every once in a while. Still really good, even after the nerfs. Watson, man, have the mighty actually have risen. Watson used to be one of the worst characters in the game last patch, and now I'm going to actually put her at A plus tier. I almost said S tier. I think she's A plus tier. I don't think she's better than Caustic. I'm going to put her in the same tier with Caustic. The two best defensive legends in the game right now are Caustic and Watson. Especially with the gravity cannons, like she gets so much value out of her fences. You can block the exits and entrances to gravity cannons. You can block zip lines, especially if they're going uphill, where somebody jumps off at the top and they go right through a fence and take a shit ton of damage. You can block those off. You can set your fences up in buildings. Like I was playing a game yesterday night where we actually won the entire game. We were defending, it was the last game circle. Her fences have so much range now that I was actually able to fence off an entire area in the late game circle without actually running out of fencing length because she got that buff. Her ult is so much more consistent now. Like you can just zone off an entire part of the late game circles with your fences, throw it out an ult, help your team out. Like it's so much more reliant right now, and it's so much better to use. She feels so much better to use after the buffs. If you want like a comeback story for like any legend in the game this season, it's Watson. One of the worst legends in the game last season, going to be probably one of the most solid, least offensive legends in the game. If you know how to play Watson, you can still do really good with her. I think she's insanely underrated right now, and probably really, really good if you know how to play her. Even with just me playing her, like I haven't really even played her that much. I still play her once in a while, but like I'm not like a Watson main or anything. But still, I think she's still insanely good whenever I do play her. I do really well, so 100% worthy of an A+ tier. Up next, we got Crypto, which is going right to C tier. There's just no reason to play Crypto. Crypto needs an entire rework. The guy is garbage. Probably the worst legend in the game. I actually even put him probably below Mirage, but they're kind of just in the same tier. I don't think they're F tier worthy because you can still play them if you're good at them. I just think he needs an entire rework. He's just outdated. That's the problem with Crypto. The entire game has evolved around him, and he's just kind of just there. He just needs an entire rework. One of the problems with him right now, too, is you like to scan banners on the map to see how many squads are in your area. Storm Point doesn't have many banners, y'all. Look around the map. There are not many banners on Storm Point, unlike there are in Kings Canyon or on Olympus. There are not many banners to scan. First of all, you get no value out of scanning banners because there's barely any to scan. Your drone has pretty much no length because the map is so open. You need more length to actually do anything. 100 meters is not enough for your drone. I don't know. His EMP is still good. Like, you can still do really solid pushes off the EMP, but apart from that, like, I just don't think he's good. Yeah, you can revive people with your drone instantly at a respawn beacon and pick up banners. But, like, what reason is that to pick Crypto up if you can just play any other legends, do the same thing pretty much, and get more value out of just playing something else? It just doesn't make sense. C tier. If I were to have to actually say, I'd probably put Mirage above Crypto right now. I think Crypto is the worst legend in the game, but he's not worthy of an F tier. He's not absolutely useless garbage, but man, is he close. I feel like if I'm playing Crypto in any of my games as well, especially ranked, I feel like I'm just throwing at this point. That's how bad he is. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys are going to disagree with me in the comments, but that's kind of how I feel right now. Up next, we got Revenants going to an A tier. Just your typical average legend right now. He can be better depending on who you pair him with, but just by himself, I think he's just A tier worthy. Not really much with him has changed. He did get a bit of a nerf with his death totem having a huge sound cue now when you do throw it down and when you do enter your totem. So that kind of makes it a little bit worse, but I still think you can get away with him. Just by himself, just an A tier. I'm not going to talk about him very much more. Not really much with him has changed. It just kind of depends on who you pair him with to make him even better. If you pair him with like an Octane or like a really hyper aggressive comp, like a Bloodhound or something that just can run with you guys and dive an entire team based off of a totem push and stuff like that, and just go back in to clean everything up, then he becomes a lot better. But just by himself, A tier. Up next, we got Loba. I think Loba's not even as good on this map. The map is so spread out to the point where there's not really many places where you can actually pool up a ton of loot. There's a few spots on the map where you can get a shit ton of loot. Like, there is, but, like, the majority of the map, like, it's so spread out. There's a lot of loot that just can't be pooled up with a single ult like there can be on a lot of other maps. That's the problem with it right now. If you do like Loba, like, you can still, late game, you can still get a lot of items. Her ult does charge really fast. You can throw it down, get ammo late game, especially for stuff like energy ammo, the more least common type of weapons if you play those that people usually don't run. Anything apart from like heavy or light ammo, because it seems like nobody right now is playing anything apart from like heavy or light type ammo weapons. Especially late game, you kind of struggle to find ammo if you're not playing those type of weapons. Especially energy ammo. If you want to find energy ammo, really easy the majority of the game. You pick Loba. Overall, just an A tier. She's average. Her ring is still good. Like, you can throw it. It still does pretty good. It's way better than it was in the past. They did fix the majority of the bugs. I just think she's A tier on this map, and especially for right now. Up next, we got Rampart. Rampart's going to B tier. She got buffed. The shit got buffed out of her, and then she just didn't do anything. She's a better than she was, but like not really much better. I think the problem with her right now is her walls. They take forever to deploy. Make her walls instant, please. Why do they take 3 seconds to fully deploy? Especially late game, if you're going against another team, you waste all your walls and them getting shot down instantly without them being fully deployed, and then just having pretty much no tactical to use at all. You're just sitting there as a sitting duck without any cover when you're supposed to be a defensive legend. Sheila, now you can walk around with her since this last patch when they actually buffed her. You can now walk around with Sheila as well, but she takes so much time to ramp up and spin up. By the time you fully spin Sheila up and start doing damage, you're dead. Because people just burst you down so quick to the point where you can't even get a shot off with Sheila. If you're walking around with her, you're dead instantly, pretty much. She just needs some more quality of life changes. Make her walls instant. Make Sheila like a turbocharger. Make Sheila spin up instantly. There should be no spin up on Sheila at all. That's her problem right now. She's just no reason to play her because she's just bad. She's not really as bad as a Crypto or a Mirage. You can get away with her. And she does take advantage of the map being kind of open, especially if you can catch people off guard. But if you're playing against people that have at least one brain cell, they aren't going to sit and walk right out in the open unless they're caught off guard and they don't know you're there and get mowed down by a turret. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work that way anymore. People know how to play against Rampart. And unless you're just catching people off guard or you're trying to hold a position on the final circles or on the map or somewhere where you drop at, she's just not going to do anything. You're lucky to at least get a decent amount of damage off with Sheila right now because people just don't know, refuse to play against her. Nobody's going to walk right in the open and just get mowed down by a turret. I'm sorry. Unless you're going against, day one players. I don't know. Especially in ranks. Nobody just runs out in the open and gets mowed down by a Sheila. If they know you're there, they're not going to poke their head out and they're not going to do anything. You're going to be pretty much useless. So, up next, we got Horizon. Horizon's going right to S tier. I think Horizon's probably one of the best legends in the game still. Her passive's great. Not being able to take the fall stun after falling down heights and stuff, really cool. Her gravity lift, still really cool as a tactical. It may not reach the most high of places on this map, but it's still insanely good. If you want to go somewhere high get the high ground really quick, still one of the best tacticals in the game. Her black hole is great. There's just nothing bad I can say about Horizon. If you want an insanely good legend right now that's overall just insanely good and really consistent, you pick up Horizon. You can never go wrong with picking up a Horizon right now. Just insanely good. Up next, we got Fuse. Fuse is insanely good right now as well. Going to put him at an A tier. He got buffed last season, and I think he's still really solid. I enjoy playing the shit out of Fuse. The Mother Load is still great. Does a shit ton of damage. Knuckle clusters are great for damage. They're good for a distraction. They can buy you time to pop one or two shield cells or a heal or two during the knuckle cluster while it's going off to distract people. You can third-party fights with a knuckle cluster and just get a shit ton of damage off unexpectedly and then dive them as they're both going off. Really solid right now. I just think he's overall really good. He lacks mobility, but he does have more damage capabilities, which you don't have to really waste ammo for. And if you know how to set up some really good knuckle clusters and mother loads, you can either trap somebody in and do a shit ton of damage, or you can get some really easy kills that are really worn down. So, if you just stand in a knuckle cluster, man, it does a shit ton of damage. If you guys haven't stood in a knuckle cluster, gosh, it does a fuck ton of damage. Play some Fuse. He's really fun to play right now. Really fun to play. Up next, we got Valkyrie. My favorite legend in the game, and the legend I play the most, is Valkyrie. I love Valkyrie. She's so fun to play. And probably the reason why I'm still playing the game, if I'm being completely honest. I love Valkyrie. I wouldn't really say that because there's a lot of other legends I love playing too. I love playing Fuse and Watts and a bunch of other stuff, but by far my favorite legend in the game, going right to S+ tier. This map is so good for her, and the reason why she's so good is just because of her ult. If she did not have her ult, she's not even really that good. The one thing that makes her so good is her ult. There are no jump towers on this map, barely, and I think if there is, they're on the way outside of the map, and they don't do really much to even bring you that close inside. Just being able to have an ult, and pretty much having a jump tower on and alt anytime you want pretty much is insanely good. Especially towards the late game when the circles are starting to close and you're kind of getting forced into either like 1 or 2 choke points. You kind of got to make a choice which way you go, and there's teams there that are already fighting you. You can either like camp a circle before it fully closes, get some really clutch kills. I think if you're not running a Valkyrie right now in your ranked games, like you're just best off not even playing ranked. That's how good she is. I hope they don't nerf her because I don't think she's worth a nerf. I think the reason why Valkyrie is just so good is because of the map. It's not because Valkyrie herself is good, it's just because her kit and her ult alone are just so good on Stormpoint. I don't think she's broken. I don't think she's OP at all. Just kind of a victim of just having a really good map this season and being just a legend happen to be there that's really good for the map. She's insanely good on Stormpoint, that's what it comes down to. Especially with her ult. Her tactical is still solid, like she has the passive. I love being able to just float from the low ground all the way up to like a rooftop or something with my jets. It feels so good to do, especially with people that can't just get right up to rooftops or have no vertical mobility. You just go right up to the high ground, take the high ground from it, you can shoot down onto somebody. It's so good to have. Favorite legend in the game, definitely worth an S+ tier. If you're not playing Valkyrie right now on Stormpoint, what are you guys doing? I don't know. Up next, we got Seer, A tier, just your average. Average, just the definition of average right now. He was broken on release. They nerfed the absolute shit out of him, and he's kind of just there. He takes a lot more skill to use than a Bloodhound because you actually have to aim your tactical to actually get value, and it's kind of like in a line. It's not like an AoE like Bloodhound scan, which makes him a lot more difficult to use. His ult is okay. Probably the best thing about him, he has the heart tracker, the heartbeat monitor on his ADS. I don't know. Just A tier right now. He's got the shit nerf out of him. I don't think he's bad. If you're a good Seer, you can still do really good. But I think he's just average right now. And then we got the last legend, which is the newest legend to the game, which is Ashe. Ashe is going right to S tier. Probably one of the best legends in the game on released. I think the only thing that makes her really good too is her ult. Her ult is right now silent. You pretty much throw out a phase tear, you teleport behind somebody, and you just get the jump on them because it's pretty much silent. There is no audio cue on her ult, and I think that needs to change because that's the one thing that's making her really good right now. I think once they put a loud sound cue on her ult where it actually pops up wherever it ends and wherever you're teleporting to, or when you teleport out of it, there's a sound cue, then I think there's actually going to be a little bit less. She's going to be a little bit worse. But she has a solid tactical. Her passive of being able to actually mark death boxes and throw marks down on the map if there's people alive is still really good. Even though you can only scan a death box once, I wish you could scan it multiple times. I think that's kind of weird, but still, S tier. Way better than a Wraith. She's pretty much the better version of a Wraith, but without a tactical that makes you damage immune and stuff for, 5 seconds or whatever. Like, her tactical's okay, her passive's okay, but the reason why you're going to be picking her is for her ult, 100%. Just being able to, at a click of a button, throw it out anytime, get from low ground to high ground, or just teleport out of danger, or out of a circle without taking damage and stuff like that. And it does relatively charge pretty fast. I think she's just really good right now. Especially once people start getting a lot better at playing her. Right now, she's still new to the game. Wait until people start getting really good at playing Ashe. Gosh, she's going to be a terror to go against. And there you have it, guys. That is the Legends tier list for Season 11. Like I said, 100% opinionated. If you guys do not agree with me on something, let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like on the video, share the video, subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Like I said, if these Apex Legends videos do really well, I will continue bringing you guys Apex Legends videos in the future. I also do stream Paladin, Smite, and Apex Legends. So if you guys do not want to miss that, turn on notifications and subscribe as well. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. And hopefully I see you guys on the battlefield sometime soon.